Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is March the 21st, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Friday to you. Hopefully you're feeling that good energy. Hopefully you're on top of the world right now. And if you're not listening to this on a Friday, that's a-okay. Hopefully that energy, it hits you whenever you're listening to it. To this, this episode. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying. You get the vibe. Like I said, my day was good. Actually, I started my day off like exactly the way I wanted with, someone coming up to me and talking about politics, which I love, some of which we're going to talk about today. And then I had another friend come up to me and we talked about gym and Magic the Gathering. So I was like, you know what? This might be a good day. This might be a solid one for sure. Sure enough, it was. I will say, though, I had a bit of stomach problems. My stomach was a bit rumbly. But, I always feel so old, like, when I get this. But it does help when you get the little digestive biscuits, You know what I'm talking about? They're called Belvitas, the ones I get. And they're like these blueberry crackers. I don't know if they have other flavors. I do know they have other flavors. I need to try them. But I do like the blueberry ones. Probably going to be my fave regardless. But they're just nice. They're almost like graham crackers with like some blueberry bits in them. And then I get a Sprite. And that's kind of my tummy rumbly, my tummy hurts, order. And that definitely kind of helped move things along in a nice way for the Constitution, if you know what I mean. And we rallied, we were good. And then we, after work, which like I said, was solid, not too busy, but steady enough where I was just kind of chilling, at the dumpster, at the compactor. But after that, I went to the gym. And I gotta say, the gym felt like a treat today. It was nice. I felt determined. I felt, and this isn't a good emotion really to bring into the gym sometimes, but sometimes it feels good when you hit what you want to hit. I was back on my bullheaded shit. I was back on my I'm gonna do this shit today. And I came in with intention. I came in ready to hit it and do more, more weight, push more weight, do more. And what really cemented that was I got on the Smith machine early, like immediately. I love that. That's always a good thing because I get to do my bench. I get to do a couple other just random barbell or bar, or what do you call it, whatever, the name's escaping me right now, but I get to do the shit I want at the top and that feels good. But I've referenced this person before, but Grug Gramps was hawking. He was eyeing the station because he wanted either my shit or whoever was going to be the first off, and he was huffing and puffing about it. And I kind of gave him a bit of a side eye that I don't think he noticed, but he's an op to me. And maybe I shouldn't say that. It's being dramatic. I'm being a hater. But dude just rubs me the wrong way. He's one of those guys who's loudly conservative. He is bald. I'm getting ableist. I know. I don't care. I don't give a shit. He's balding. He's got a bad tan. He's got really bad dye job on his eyebrows. The only thing I fuck with this guy on is his gym swag. His gym swag is pretty good. It's like Frozen in the 80s. He's got the gym bro harem pants, as I like to call them. He comes in with the A tank top most days, or he's got a big oversized shirt situation. But I gotta say, he is swole. So I give him his credit. He's Grug Maxer for sure, but he is also old. And annoying, and very loud about it. But that being said, saw him. I wound up actually giving him my machine because I was done with it. So I was like, here, you can have it, whatever. He immediately seized on it, whatever. I proceed to, get through my workout. And as I'm doing it, this funny moment happens. These younger kids, it's this 3-man little outfit, and they're working out, and he's doing his hawk routine where he's hitting now the cable section, and he wants one of the cable situations. So he comes up to them, and he's asking, imploring almost to like give me your spot, more or less. And they proceed to have a little talk. And at first I thought it might have been a little serious, but really it seemed like it was more or less playful. They have like almost like a flex off, one of the kids and him, and I'm like, what is happening? Like I can't look away. It was like a car crash, and I proceed to watch this old man just get mogged in the flex off. Like they're literally flexing, they're pinching body fat. And I'm like, what is happening? I felt like I was like almost at like a zoo or something. It was crazy. But needless to say, I was so happy to see this guy just, he kind of got some comeuppance, but clearly he didn't give a shit because they talked later and he was talking more shit. But I enjoyed that. That was nice. I then proceeded. I know I've been telling y'all, hey, I'm going slower on cardio. I'm taking it a little bit easier, more steady. I said, fuck that. We're back on our bullshit. I want to run. Dog's got a fucking haul. We got to do it. So, I'm putting a little bit more oomph back into it. Felt good. Needless to say, I close out. I'm in the locker room. I'm changing. Sure as shit, who's my neighbor? Who's my locker buddy? Who's right next to me? It's Grug Gramps. He's like, hey, can I get by you? And this is also another thing I need to mention. I've never had an actual conversation with Grug Gramps. I have avoided him because I don't like him, right? You know what I mean? And I always got the impression that he didn't want to talk to me at all because he's talked to like all kinds of people. And that's something I will give Grug Gramps credit for. Is I kind of thought with his conservative leanings, there's no way he would talk to like people who would be different, some person of color or, some person who he thought might be a different sexual orientation, whatever. So here I am in my pride shirt, just, doing my, I'm getting my clothes or whatever. He asked me to move over. He's like, can I buy you? I'm like, yeah, no problem. He proceeds, because he wants to get into like a specific changing room or something like that, and he's malding. He's mad about it because he can't. Cause someone's using it, and he just proceeds to tell me, some of his problems with the gym right now. He's like, yeah, and he talks about the young kids. He's like, yeah, these young kids keep running their mouths. What they should be doing is doing their sets, and I appease him. You know what I mean? I'm giving him his credit because this is finally actually kind of what I wanted. I wanted Grug Gramps to acknowledge me, notice me, senpai, and for some reason, an Xbox achievement went off, like, in my head. I was like, bloop, we did it. Like, this is one of the things I wanted to accomplish as a gym rat, is to, like, finally have a conversation with almost, like, the Planet Fitness Oracle, this guy. So, needless to say, like I said, I appease him, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you have a good day, man. You too. Cool. Once again, I hope we never talk about Donald Trump. That would be terrible. That would be horrible. But I don't know. Maybe I've made peace. I've summited with maybe one of the worst characters in the gym, and I feel like that's a dub. That is almost like a knighting of a sort. So yeah, we love that for me. So yeah, it was a good day. Dare I say, great day? It was solid. It was nice. Let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. Oh, yeah. All right. Yummy, yummy. From NBC News, Trump signs executive order to dismantle the education department. President Donald Trump signed an executive order Thursday directing Education Secretary Linda McMahon to start dismantling the education department. It sounds strange, doesn't it? Department of Education. We're going to eliminate it, Trump said in the East Room of the White House at a ceremony where he was flanked by children seated at school desks. Before he signed the order, Trump turned to the children and asked, "Should I do this?" And I didn't get a chance to watch the moment in full. I almost wish one of the kids would be like, "No, don't, please, no." But I guess everything went okay. Introducing McMahon, Trump said, "Hopefully she will be our last Secretary of Education," he vowed. To find something else for you, Linda. Congressional approval would be needed to fully abolish the department. Trump said he hopes Democrats would vote in favor. I hope they're going to be voting for it, Trump said of congressional Democrats, because ultimately it may come before them. Immediately after signing, Senator Bill Cassidy, Republican from, I believe, Louisiana, the chair of Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, said on X he will submit legislation to accomplish Trump's goal of shutting down the education department as soon as possible. Dude, could you imagine? Could you imagine being one of these politicians who like rushes to like put Trump's penis in your mouth? Like, oh, I love you, Trump. I'll do every like. Could you imagine? Could you imagine being the top glazer for that kind of shit? What a world. What a way to make a fucking paycheck. I literally would actually rather just push trash. Like, real shit, dude. I would keep my day job if it's this or that, bro. Like, that's crazy, dude. If you ever catch me on some Charlie Kirk ass shit, fucking find me and just fucking put the Big Mac in my mouth for the last time. Please. Please. Anyway. Congress established the Education Department in 1979 during President Jimmy Carter's administration, and any effort to abolish it would face major obstacles from Democrats in the Republican-controlled Senate, where 60 votes are required to overcome filibusters and advance measures to final votes. Now, I gotta say here, this does seem like, yes, he might be stonewalled, but we don't know. I mean, who knows what Chuck Schumer might do? His fucking pussy ass. He might roll over. He might do whatever. And if not Chuck Schumer, like, I know he's caught a lot of flack as of lately because of the whole, the government shutdown bill, avoidance shit. But, like, motherfuckers really need to understand there's always a pack of these fucking wolves who are going to fucking bow down and make it happen. They want the same things that these Republicans want. There's no difference. So, yeah, I would say my haunches are still up. I still have worries about this kind of shit because at the end of the day, it could still get pushed through if the right amount of people come along and make it happen. Though it is unlikely, sure, but I mean, hey, stranger things have fucking happened in Washington, D.C. The House Education Committee's top Democrat, Bobby Scott of Virginia, called the executive order reckless and argued in a statement that it would put low-income students, students of color, students with disabilities, and rural students at risk, which I agree with. At the end of the day, the whole notion of this is saying, hey, we are trying to erase the Department of Education, and we're trying to just give that power back to the states. So the states will run everything. You won't need us. You won't need the government like oversight at a federal level to, make this all happen. But at the end of the day, the things that they are doing in the government help make this a smoother, better experience for, students of all creeds and colors and all that kind of shit. So trying to say, hey, we're going to just, and regardless here, whether or not this does come to full fruition, Trump has accomplished what he wanted. Like we've covered previously where he cut like 1,300 jobs out of the Department of Education. So he has stripped it down, just like he has, a bunch of fucking federal departments. So he's getting what he wants here one way or another. He'll have that kind of badge to show to his constituents that really want this kind of shit to happen. Because despite the fact that Trump is actually trying to put pedal to the metal on this, other conservatives have pushed this notion around that this department doesn't need to be a thing, that this is just Jimmy Carter's fucking dumb peanut pipe dream and it could go away and we'd all be fine. But once again, like, do you have a child? Like, do you believe in the future? Do you want like a good, smooth education for children? Like, I would think you'd want that. But this administration is like, nah, fuck that shit, actually. We want points. We want to get wins. And this is a win we can get. So let's fucking push for it. Let's fucking make it happen. Let's make it a reality. And once again, I always have to note this. Like, it's crazy that Linda McMahon, one of the McMahons, like, of the McMahon empire, just a crew of shitty fucking people have infiltrated the government, and now they're at it, dude. She's trying to fucking shut this shit down. It's crazy. Once again, I truly hope that this doesn't come to fruition fully, in terms of like Congress actually bowing like down and allowing it to happen, because it would take Democrats to do that shit. But, I mean, it fucking could. And I will be here to talk about it if and when it does happen. But yeah, no, I clearly think this is a fucked up thing. And I don't know. I'm sure there's someone out there. I'm sure there's some fucking content creator doing politics, doing tricks on it right now, saying, actually, this is fine thing. This is a good thing. I've heard some politicians being like, yes, no, this gives more control to actual schools, and they can actually get down to it. It's like, no, you're giving them less resources. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Like, okay, good luck with that. Once again, I'm really glad I don't have a child right now. I couldn't imagine the idea of putting them in an education system that I already couldn't afford. You know what I mean? Like, good luck. Like, what's left of fucking the public school education, you're gonna have to give even more so to try to fucking put them through a private school or some shit. Ugh. Ugh. Blah. Anyway, we still got more Trump shit to talk about. From USA Today. Trump admin no longer requires ban on segregated facilities and government contracts. Now, this one was a head scratcher. It definitely was like, wait. Are we for real just being like bold-faced, just putting racism back on the menu? The answer is yes and no, which I love. I fucking find that to be really cool. I like that this is like a fun little brain teaser to kind of go through. Is it racist? But yes, the Trump administration is no longer requiring an explicit prohibition of segregated facilities in new government contracts. The February 15th memo from the U.S. General Services Administration, or GSA, was first reported by NPR Tuesday. Segregation is still illegal in the U.S., and the memo states contractors are still subject to laws on civil rights and non-discrimination. So that's the silver lining here, is that technically racism, segregation, these things are still bad, even in the Trump admin. But the directive from the GSA, which manages federal property and sources contracting options for other agencies, came in response to one of President Donald Trump's executive orders aimed at rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion in the federal government. Let's scroll a little further if the site allows me to. There we go. The memo states that the changes to the contract and solicitation terms for federal agencies are necessary after Trump's January 21st executive order titled Ending Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity. Along with other programs Trump considered under the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Accessibility umbrella, the order revoked the 1965 Equal Employment Opportunity Executive Order signed by former President Lyndon B. Johnson. Johnson's order required government contracts to include non-discrimination language. In its place, as the memo lays out, contracts do not include provisions, including 52.222-21, prohibition of segregated facilities, which includes restrooms, drinking fountains, and transportation. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump posted on X about the measure, saying this change sends a clear message, which I do agree with, because once again, I think you say, oh, well, this is actually only for like government contracted buildings and things of that nature. We're not talking about your local La Rosa's, your local restaurant or what have you. This is like strictly for government stuff, right? And once again, the focus is trying to make this more about merit, and we're not trying to get bogged down in terms of like diversity and stuff. And I think the rebuff from the Trump admin, is like, hey, there are already other laws in place that like protect these kind of things. This is a redundant law, and we're trying to cut through that for quote unquote American interests. But I do agree with what Ben Crump is saying. This is sending a message saying like, it's okay to be a little racist. It's okay to be a little black and white about things. Also, I think, and this is me kind of speculating, theorizing here, that maybe you're not actually trying to make lines about black and white. You know what I mean? Maybe you're trying to make lines about whatever you feel that day, that year, that moment. And that's what you're going to make these segregated things about. And that's why you wanted this law gone. That's not a good thing. That's not any kind of silver lining. I'm just trying to peep what the angles are here and try to future cast. Because like, I really don't get why you pop up with this kind of shit. Unless you just want to say, hey, why don't you try it? Why don't you try to make your mom and pop a little bit more, a little bit more racist, a little bit more whites only? Like I don't know. I don't get it, because at the end of the day, you still could face that prosecution, but maybe you say, hey, well, this is the new executive order that Trump just pushed out. I think I should be allowed to say no gays, no blacks, no them, they, thems, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I really don't know at this point. Trump is just going full circus mode, and he's just popping off, popping off, popping off. You know what I mean? He just started signing shit. He just started blasting. So, this is just one of the things in the milieu. So I figured, hey, let's spend some time yapping about it. But obviously, fucking boo this shit. Boo this man. Boo this whole goddamn administration, dude. It's wild. It's just never a dull moment. When you live in interesting times like these. That's for damn sure. Anyway, let's I wouldn't thought I would say this, but let's downtune with some air related things. You know what I mean? Let's take it to the skies, so to speak. From the BBC, Heathrow flights resume after fire forced shutdown. Flights have resumed at Heathrow Airport, and a full service is expected. Excuse me. On Saturday, following an unprecedented loss of power caused by a nearby substation fire. About 200,000 passengers were affected as flights were grounded throughout Friday, with inbound planes being diverted to other airports in Europe after flames ripped through the North Hyde plant in Hayes, West London, on Thursday evening. The airport's chief executive, Thomas Woldby, which I have to pause here. I kept reading Woldby as worldwide in my head, like he was Pitbull or something. And then I got mad that his name was Woldby or whatever, because y'all know I can't pronounce a goddamn name to save my life. And I just wished that he could change his name to Thomas Worldwide. I think that would be kind of slick. But, I mean, hey, whatever. Anyway, Thomas Woldby apologized to stranded passengers and said the disruption was as big as it gets for our airport and that it could not guard itself 100%. The Met Police confirmed the fire was not believed to be suspicious. They even got the counterintelligence involved, like terrorism or whatever the fuck involved. Once again, they were saying, hey, we don't think this is anything suspicious or criminal, malicious or anything like that, but we just want to make sure that we're on it just in case. But yeah, I believe it's like something like a transformer. I think they have it as electrical distribution equipment that potentially was the cause of the fire and the outage. But yeah, I mean, this is a big deal. Hold on, let me see if I can find it here in the article. A bit of a drag, but this is one of the bigger airports in Europe, so it definitely affected a lot. Actually, I'm gonna scroll past it. I did. Oopsie, little backpedal, little up scroll. Yeah, they're talking about the power there. Here we go. Sorry. Heathrow is the UK's largest aviation hub, handling about 1,300 landings and takeoffs each day. A record 83.9 million passengers passed through its terminals last year, according to its latest data. So, obviously this airport being down for even a day is pretty major. It's pretty massive. Good they were able to get partially back on, and hopefully by tomorrow they should be fully. So, and also more importantly, good that no one was hurt in the process of this, because naturally this shit happened, and I'm sure there were planes in the air. So, being diverted or, what have you could be, a potential issue. So, hey, we love that. We will count this as, in some way, a bit of a, bad news, but hey, it could have been worse news, no? So there we go. Anyway, let's move on. Let's cover our last thing for the day. But before we get into it, let's take our last break. And, then we'll hit the runway, so to speak. Anyway, let me go ahead and get to that. Ugh. All right. Whew. From CBS News, Southwest Airlines flight almost takes off from taxiway rather than runway at Orlando Airport. A Southwest Airlines flight almost took off from a taxiway rather than a runway at Orlando International Airport in Florida on Thursday before an air traffic controller stopped the plane, officials said. Southwest Flight 3278 had been cleared for takeoff and initiated a takeoff roll on a taxiway after the crew mistook the surface for the nearby runway, officials said. But air traffic controllers canceled the clearance before the plane could take off. Now, I initially thought like, oh, okay, that wouldn't be that big of a deal. But once again, if you're coming off of the taxiway, like that's not where you're supposed to be going. Like that's a mistake. Like there's other, planes that are also moving through, that area. You don't want to be trying to like go up and potentially above them. Like it could be a whole fucking shit show accident waiting to happen. Catastrophe. So good that crisis was averted here. There weren't any injuries. I don't think anyone even had to like, hop off the plane or anything like that. So that's good. Hold on, let's see. Well, actually, no, they did say the aircraft was switched to help facilitate an investigation. So maybe people were a little bit jammed up in that regard. But I think you're okay with that as long as you keep your life. You know what I mean? I think that's solid. I think that's a dub. So yeah, man, I don't know. Maybe you flip that in for some kind of kickback or something, right? You say, hey, I almost, got into a whole accident here because of Southwest. Give me a free flight or something. I don't know. Anyway. This was like kind of obviously less compared to the Heathrow airport situation. I almost didn't want to cover it, but then I saw like some people on Facebook talking about it, and it was making the news rounds, and I was like, hey, we do cover a lot of plane news, and in a way, once again, I'm trying to be a little bit optimistic here. This is a bit of good news. We didn't cover an incident where a Boeing went down. Also, speaking of Boeing, speaking of Trump, I believe he signed some kind of contract agreement or something, allowing Boeing to take over and build some fighter jets for us, like F-47s or something. I might be getting that wrong. I'm kind of just pulling this from the ether here. That's crazy. Given the track record that we've talked about Boeing lately over the past few years, that's crazy. My G said that's fine. That's fine. They're good for it. They're good. Boeings are still in the air regardless. No? I guess, Mr. President. I fucking guess. But yeah, I mean, it's a shit show out there. I'm glad, once again, though, taking it back to Orlando. No one was hurt. Everything's irie. Everything's cool. People made it to their destinations, and they got on the runway, more importantly, right? So there we go. But yeah, that's where I'll leave it for today. There's more news, but hopefully we'll get to it, this weekend. There's definitely more to talk about. But yeah, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. I know I don't say this all the time, but we are coming up on it. The newsie roll call is coming up, so that is a perk that you get for your $5. I do shout you out once a month. Every time you stay a newsie, you stay subscribed to the. Is subscribed the right word? You stay a patron, whatever. I say your name if you'd like. Plug a project. If you'd like to send me news that you want me to cover, I know people don't really do this, but you can. If you say, hey, Mr. News Guy, Newsy Supreme, I want you to cover this thing, I'll cover it. You know what I mean? If it's too crazy, I might have to do it on the Patreon. You might have to hey, this is just for you. But we'll see. I mean, if it's relevant and I like it, I dig it, we'll definitely put it on the main feed for sure. But once again, if you want to turn me into an ad space and say, hey, I got a thing I want to plug, I got a thing I want people to know about. I mean, hey, I'm a small time guy, but hey, I'll shout you out. I'll plug your shit for sure. So I mean, hey, if you just want to treat it like a tip jar, you just like what you heard and you say, hey, here you go, keep it up. I love that. I think that's pretty sweet. You put a smile on my face, that's for sure. Anyway, freeways, hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me on Spotify. Follow me on Apple for podcasts. All those good things. Leave a like. Give me all the stars. Leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.